Art is often a reflection of the soul, and for some artists it is a window into their deepest struggles and dreams. Few names resonate with such intensity as Vincent van Gogh, the brilliant yet tormented artist whose works have captivated the world for over a century. He wasn't just a painter. He was a man who poured his heart, his anguish, and his passion onto every canvas he touched. Among his countless masterpieces, one stands out as a symbol of his genius and inner turmoil: the Starry Night, painted during a time of great personal suffering. This iconic piece has transcended time, inspiring countless interpretations and emotions. But who was the man behind the swirls of the night sky? How did Vincent van Gogh, who sold only one painting in his lifetime, become one of the most influential artists in history? Join us as we embark on a journey through the life of Vincent van Gogh, the tormented artist who painted the Starry Night, and uncover the struggles, triumphs, and tragedies that defined him. Vincent van Gogh was born on March 30th, 1853, in the small village of Zundert, in the Netherlands. The son of a Protestant minister, Vincent grew up in a religious and strict household. From an early age, he was a quiet, introspective child drawn to nature and the simplicity of rural life. Though his father hoped he would follow in his footsteps and join the clergy, Vincent had different ideas. At the age of 16, he began working as an apprentice for Goupil and Sailly, an art dealership, where he was first introduced to the world of fine art. He worked in branches across Europe, including The Hague, London, and Paris. However, the art business did not suit Vincent's intense emotional personality. His personal struggles and failed romantic relationships made it difficult for him to settle into a profession. By the age of 27, he had worked as an art dealer, a teacher, and even tried becoming a preacher, but he failed to find his calling. Throughout his life, Vincent had a close relationship with his younger brother, Theo van Gogh, who would later become his greatest supporter. It was through their correspondence that we gained deep insight into Vincent's inner world, his dreams, his disappointments, and his relentless desire to find purpose through art. In 1880, at the age of 27, Vincent made a monumental decision. He would devote himself entirely to painting, but his path would be far from easy. Vincent's early years as an artist were marked by a period of self-discovery. He immersed himself in the work of Dutch masters, studying figures like Rembrandt and Frans Hals, whose use of light and shadow fascinated him. But Vincent was never content to merely mimic the styles of those who came before him. From 1881 to 1885, Vincent moved frequently, first returning to his family's home, then to The Hague, where he studied under his cousin Anton Mauve, a well-known painter. During this time, he focused heavily on portraiture and rural scenes, drawn to the common people and the harsh realities of their daily lives. One of Vincent's most notable works from this period is The Potato Eaters, a dark, moody painting that depicts a group of peasants sharing a simple meal. Though the painting was criticized at the time for its rough, unpolished style, it revealed Vincent's growing desire to portray honesty and emotion in his work. By 1885, Vincent had developed a distinct artistic voice, but his work remained largely unappreciated. Frustrated and feeling isolated, he made a bold decision. He would move to Paris, where the Impressionists were revolutionizing the art world. In 1886, Vincent moved to Paris, where he was reunited with his brother Theo, now an art dealer. Paris was the heart of the artistic revolution, and Vincent was introduced to the works of Monet, Degas, Pissarro, and other Impressionists, who were breaking new ground with their bold use of color and light. For Vincent, this was a turning point. His palette brightened and he began experimenting with the vivid, bold colors that would come to define his later work. Influenced by the Impressionists, Vincent started to move away from the dark, earthy tones of his early years. He embraced the use of short, expressive brushstrokes, often painting the bustling streets of Montmartre or the flowering fields outside the city. It was during this time that he also became friends with fellow artists like Paul Gauguin, who would later play a significant role in his life. Though he found inspiration in Paris, Vincent also struggled with the city's fast pace and his growing sense of alienation. He longed for the peace and simplicity of the countryside. In 1888, after 2 years in Paris, Vincent left the city and headed south to Arles in search of a new beginning. In February 1888, Vincent van Gogh arrived in the small town of Arles, in the south of France. For Vincent, this was a chance to escape the chaos of Paris and immerse himself in the natural beauty of Provence. The bright sunlight and vibrant colors of the landscape filled him with new energy. It was here that Vincent's artistic vision truly flourished. Inspired by the brilliant blue skies, the fields of sunflowers, and the rustic charm of the French countryside, Vincent painted tirelessly. Some of his most famous works were created during this period, including Sunflowers, The Yellow House, and The Night Café. During his time in Arles, Vincent dreamed of creating an artists' colony, a place where like-minded painters could live and work together in harmony. He invited his friend Paul Gauguin to join him, hoping they could collaborate and build this community together. However, when Gauguin arrived in October 1888, tensions between the two artists quickly emerged. Vincent's intense personality and emotional instability clashed with Gauguin's more detached demeanor. Though they initially worked side by side, their differences became more and more apparent. As the weeks passed, the relationship between Vincent and Gauguin became increasingly strained. Vincent's mental health, already fragile, began to deteriorate. He became obsessive, working late into the night and pushing himself to the brink of exhaustion. Gauguin, uncomfortable with Vincent's intensity, began to distance himself. One night in December 1888, after a heated argument, Vincent's mental state reached a breaking point. In a fit of psychosis, he famously cut off part of his own left ear. Bleeding and disoriented, Vincent wrapped the severed ear in a cloth and brought it to a local brothel, presenting it to a woman named Rachel, who worked there. Following the ear incident, Vincent was taken to a hospital in Arles, where he was treated for his injury. His neighbors, disturbed by his erratic behavior, signed a petition to have him evicted from the Yellow House. Vincent's dream of an artist colony was shattered, and Gauguin left Arles never to return. Vincent's mental health continued to decline after the incident. He suffered from severe hallucinations and bouts of paranoia. Fearing for his safety, he voluntarily admitted himself to the Saint Paul de Moselle asylum in nearby Saint-Rémy-de-Provence. At the asylum in Saint-Rémy, Vincent found a sense of peace, though his mental state remained fragile. He was allowed to paint, and his room overlooked the rolling hills and cypress trees of Provence. It was during this time that Vincent created one of his most famous works, the Starry Night. Painted in June 1889, the Starry Night is a masterpiece of emotion and movement. The sky seems to pulse with energy, the stars swirling in a cosmic dance. The cypress tree, often associated with death and mourning, reaches up toward the heavens, connecting the earth to the universe above. Though Vincent's mental state was deteriorating, his artistic vision had never been clearer. In a letter to his brother Theo, Vincent described the painting as a night study, where the stars are brighter and the colors more vibrant than in reality. Despite his ongoing struggles with mental illness, Vincent continued to paint prolifically in his final year. His works from this period are filled with vibrant colors and swirling forms, reflecting both his genius and his torment. But his inner demons were never far behind. In July 1890, Vincent left the asylum and moved to Auvers-sur-Oise, a small town north of Paris, where he was under the care of Dr. Paul Gachet, a homeopathic doctor and amateur artist. During this time, Vincent painted some of his most iconic works, including Wheatfield with Crows, which many art historians interpret as a foreboding image of his impending death. On July 27, 1890, Vincent walked into a wheat field with his easel and paints and shot himself in the chest with a revolver. Mortally wounded, he managed to return to the inn where he was staying. He died 2 days later on July 29th, with his beloved brother Theo by his side. To this day, there remains some controversy surrounding the details of Vincent's death. While the official story is that Vincent shot himself, Some historians speculate that he may have been accidentally shot by local boys. Despite the mystery, what is clear is that Vincent's life ended tragically, just as he was beginning to receive recognition for his work. Vincent van Gogh was only 37 years old when he died. He had painted over 2,100 works, including 860 oil paintings in just a decade. And yet, during his lifetime, he sold only one painting. Vincent van Gogh, the man who sold only one painting in his lifetime, would never witness the worldwide recognition he would receive after his death. It was his brother Theo, deeply devastated by Vincent's passing, who dedicated himself to preserving and promoting his brother's work. Though Theo passed away just 6 months after Vincent, it was his widow, Johanna, who became the true champion of Vincent's legacy. She believed in the genius of his art and painstakingly worked to gather his letters, paintings, and drawings. It was through her determination that Vincent's work began to find its way into exhibitions and galleries. By the early 20th century, Vincent's paintings were being displayed across Europe, slowly gaining the recognition they deserved. Critics and art lovers alike began to understand his unique vision, his bravery in color, and the emotional depth of his brushstrokes. His once rejected work became a symbol of the modern art movement. In 1987, over a century after Vincent's death, his painting Irises was sold at auction for an astonishing $53.9 million. It became one of the most expensive paintings ever sold at the time, further cementing Vincent van Gogh as one of the greatest artists in history. Today, his works are housed in museums across the world. From the Museum of Modern Art in New York to the Vincent van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, his paintings continue to attract millions of visitors. What was once dismissed as the work of a madman is now revered as some of the most iconic pieces in art history. The world has come to celebrate the artist who found beauty in tragedy, who painted vibrant landscapes despite living in darkness. Vincent van Gogh is no longer just a tragic figure. He has become a symbol of the unstoppable power of art, transcending pain and time. The legacy of Vincent van Gogh is more than just brushstrokes on a canvas. His life and art represent the power of human emotion, the resilience of the creative spirit, and the unique vision that comes from embracing one's true self. In his letters, Vincent once wrote, "I am seeking, I am striving, I am in it with all my heart." And that's exactly what his art represents. A man who never stopped seeking, never stopped trying to understand the world around him, even in the face of inner turmoil. Though Vincent van Gogh lived a life filled with pain, he left behind a body of work that touches the soul of every person who stands before it. His paintings remind us of the beauty in struggle, the glory in imperfection, and the strength found in vulnerability. The Starry Night, perhaps Vincent's most famous work, has become more than just a painting. It has been reimagined, recreated, and loved by people all over the world. From replicas to murals, it stands as a universal symbol of the human connection to the universe. Vincent's story teaches us that art is not about perfection. It's about expression, about capturing what words cannot. His legacy reminds us to embrace our unique perspectives, to see the world with new eyes, and to always follow our passion, even when the world doesn't understand. Though Vincent van Gogh never saw the impact of his art in his lifetime, today he stands as a giant in the world of art and culture. His works have influenced generations of artists, and his story continues to inspire dreamers everywhere. He may have lived a life of solitude, but through his art, Vincent connects with all of humanity. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey through the life and legacy of Vincent van Gogh. His story is a testament to the enduring power of art and the unstoppable spirit of the human soul.